Hi. Before we dive into this episode of Total Ramblings, this one is quite ranty, quite depressing at the end, and I would probably stay away from it if I were you. I am at a very low point at this time, and this vlog is a reflection of that. So, just giving you a little bit of warning. Hey everybody, thank you for joining me for this episode of Total Ramblings, and for taking an interest in what is laughably my life at the moment. It's Monday and it's 25 minutes past 1 and excuse me, I've got a phone call. Hello?
Hello, it's me, you alright?
Yeah, hi, how are you?
I've just had a call from...
I'm back. I have taken the day off work rather unexpectedly, and I don't wish to make this sound overly dramatic. I'm about to go and bust my wife out of Southampton Hospital. Basically, the whole situation is somewhat less than satisfactory. Liz was told that she would be spending a few days at Southampton Hospital, ostensibly to try an overnight ventilator to help her breathe and sleep better. When she got there, they appeared to be under the impression that she was having her tracheostomy tube removed. For anyone who's not familiar with the history of this, we don't want the tracheostomy tube removed because of information where I've been given in the past, which led me to believe, in fact, didn't even lead me to believe, I was told it blatantly. I was told that a patient with diagnosed myotonic dystrophy would not be resuscitated if they went to hospital. So basically, if that tube comes out, I got told they won't intubate again. So I'm not having that. And basically, if the trachea tube comes out, I lose all access to Liz's secretions. So I'm not having that. She needed 16 suctions the other day. You know, and then they said if she wanted to try this new ventilator, she'd have to upsize her trachea tube. Well, Liz couldn't speak with a larger trachea tube. This one she finds very comfortable for talking. She found it a real struggle to communicate with the others, so that's not an option either. Not to mention that, and I'm going to put a photo up now, this is the state of Liz's arms the day after they tried to get blood from her for an O2 saturation reading, after 20 attempts to get blood out of her, including from her ears. This is how her arms were left. So this morning, she says they've tried another 3 times to get blood out of her, and now they're talking about moving on to her feet. Don't get me wrong, there's some very nice members of staff there and it's a very nice room, but I need to get her out of there. I've got serious welfare concerns. They're just not looking after her properly. So I've been on the phone much of this morning, talking to various people. Holy Cross, where Liz lives, for want of a better word. And, you know, it's not acceptable, really. There are people moving her around the country and making decisions without engaging her in those conversations. and I'm not happy. And I spoke with the nurse in charge at Holy Cross, and she said, and I'm quoting, that she was, quote, absolutely disgusted, unquote, with what she'd seen. So I've had to take the day off work, and that's why I am going down to Southampton now to go and pick up Liz and discharge her from the hospital and take her back to Holy Cross. The other thing is, we didn't know how long Liz was meant to be in Southampton, and at one point they were talking about her being there for a few weeks. Well, that was news to us. And then the next thing they're saying is that she might have to go back in a year's time. And then the next thing they're saying is they're suddenly using the words palliative care and talking about a hospice. I'm sorry, that's end of life stuff. And I'm not prepared to accept that yet. So I am, well, we're not happy, basically. And that's why I've already explained why. In other news, and life just never stops having a go at me, in other news, I am very nervous, having just left the house to its own devices, because I spent yesterday with Liz. Yesterday was Sunday, and I spent yesterday with Liz at hospital, as usual, albeit in Southampton. And Anthony had stayed with me the night before. He was dropped off with me Saturday, stayed with me Saturday night. I fed him Sunday morning, took him to the hospital, took him back to his grandma's. I got home just before 8 o'clock at night, bearing in mind that Sunday morning I had vacuumed the entire house. I am all up to date with the washing. I'm all up to date with the washing up. The house is tidy. I was looking forward to coming home and chilling out and having a nice relaxing evening, ready to go back to work today. I got home and I immediately put my foot into a giant puddle on my kitchen floor. My brand new 2-day-old kitchen floor. The kitchen floor that I just literally had replaced at the end of 6 months of hell of fixing a previous leak in my house. Needless to say, this completely freaked me out. Because what did I say on this very vlog last week? I literally said, and it's on record, that there was a part of me that was slightly nervous about having the kitchen works finished, because I said, and I quote, something else is going to happen now, and the water will find a new way of getting into my house. And I got home, and there's a fucking huge puddle of water in my kitchen floor. My brand new 2-day-old kitchen floor. And then I saw a drip from the ceiling. And water, there was a massive stain, damp patch in my kitchen ceiling, and water had clearly tracked along a beam in my kitchen ceiling and was dripping through a light fitting and was dripping onto my kitchen floor. There's also a water stain in my dining room ceiling where the water has leaked through from above. So I went upstairs. My landing carpet just outside the bathroom upstairs is absolutely soaked through. Absolutely sodden. You put your foot on it, water just squishes around your toes. And what do I see? What do I see? In my bathroom, I see a lake of water. This is my brand new bathroom that I had fitted a year ago. Bearing in mind I had the floor done, the ceiling done, all the walls done, and everything inside that space is all brand new. And there's a fucking lake of water in my brand new bathroom, and the water has leaked through the ceiling. It's gone through my brand new floor, through my brand new floor foundation, if you like, through the ceiling, dripped through the electrical works and into my kitchen. I've literally got a Hive light bulb, so not a cheap light bulb, a smart light bulb, literally full of water, like a little mini aquarium, full of water inside the bulb. So, my immediate thought was, it's the toilet. Maybe the toilet's overflowed. Open the toilet. No. Anthony hadn't even bothered to flush it. That much was obvious. I'm not going to go into detail, but it hadn't been flushed. I started pulling stuff out of the bathroom, and I noticed that as I pulled stuff away from the sink cabinet, there's a gap between the side of the sink cabinet and the wall, that the stuff there was wet. So in other words, the water has gone down the side of the sink. So what I did was, and also towards the bath, it was dry. Around the toilet, it was relatively dry. It was clear from the water distribution in the ceiling below and the floor above that the water had come from the sink. So what I did was, I immediately turned on the heating to try and get the radiator running in case it was coming from the radiator, to try and eliminate that area. I knew it wasn't, but also I had to dry the house out anyway. And then what I did was I pushed the plug into the sink and I put the water on full power, and the overflow just can't cope basically. If you have the plug in the sink and if you have the tap on at full power, it quite easily and quite quickly overwhelms the capacity of the sink, and water just starts to flow down the front and the side. So that's clearly where the water's come from. But when I got home, the sink was not on. I think if the sink had been left on while I was out for 7 hours, the damage would have been a lot worse. Now, my next thought was, I went outside and I took the cover up off the water meter, which is in the pavement outside the house, to make sure that the dial wasn't spinning, to make sure that I don't have another internal leak. Now, bearing in mind, another internal leak would basically be impossible now, because every single water appliance and every single pipe has been replaced at some point in the last 18 months. The whole house has had work done on it. I've got a new tank upstairs. I've got new appliances in the upstairs bathroom. The downstairs in the kitchen, I've got new pipes going to the sink, new pipes going to the outside tap. I've got new underground pipes. I've got new central heating pipes. The downstairs toilet and shower is all brand new. It's literally impossible for me to have a new leak in my house. And if I do have a leak, then that's on the bathroom fitters. Anyway, the water meter was not spinning around like crazy, and also I could tell, because there was no staining in the bathroom ceiling, that the water is not coming from the tank in the loft. So I'm able quite easily to identify where the water's come from after some detective work. And here's the other thing. I know with certainty that it's not me. And I can say that with some certainty because yesterday morning I wanted to give the reinstated downstairs shower a go to make sure that it was fully operational, and it was. And I did all my washing and ablutions and my teeth and all that. I did it all downstairs. I did not touch the upstairs bathroom yesterday morning. But I had Anthony with me. And it's Anthony. It doesn't take It's like Occam's razor, right? It's the simplest solution without making too many. It's Anthony. Anthony's let the sink run over. And I've got to start wondering whether this is conscious or unconsciously deliberate. It was about this time a year ago that I last yelled at him. We were in this very car and we'd pulled up by a lake. I was going to fly the drone and I didn't eventually because of what I'm about to tell you. And I said to him, mind your door, because we were parked next to a wall. Mind your door, crash. He immediately smashed the door with all his power into a brick wall. Having been told 2 seconds before, mind the door. Now, as it happens, and because I'm not stupid, I had put door protectors on, but he made a great effort to actually fuck up the door, and I lost my mind because the first thing he said to me was, "It's not my fault." And I'm getting fed up with this lack of acceptance of responsibility. And it's not just from Anthony, it's from people in everyday life as well. It's not my fault. Well, the implication being that somehow it must be my fault. So I rang my mother-in-law, because bearing in mind I'd just dropped Anthony off, and I needed to know from Anthony what he had done in the bathroom, because now I don't know whether I've got a new leak or not. My water meter's not spinning, so the house is not ingesting water like crazy, like it was when I had the last downstairs leak. But I need to know for sure, and I need to know from Anthony what he did in the bathroom. And of course he says, I don't know. And, you know, I've got every right to be angry, right? Because I have been battling water ingress into my house for the last 19 months. This is the 4th event of water flooding and fucking up my house in the last 19 months since Liz went to hospital. When she first went to hospital, I had a problem with the central heating, namely the central heating would not stop getting hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter, even though I'd told Hive to set a temperature. The only way I could stop the central heating from getting hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter was by turning off the hot water. And it turns out there's a valve which controls the flow between the two systems, and the valve had gone, and basically if the hot water was on, it would just keep pumping hot water into the heating. That got fixed. No water ingress, but almost immediately as soon as that got fixed, the water took the next weakest route and blew something in my immersion heater, in my immersion tank, and my hot water tank. And I went downstairs one morning to find water dripping from the stairs. So that's incident number 1. And bearing in mind that Liz had died once and was in hospital, and all I wanted to be doing was spending time in hospital with Liz, and yet I kept having things going wrong with the house that kept me having to be at home waiting for fucking engineers to turn up and sort shit out. At the same time, my car, the oil was leaking from my car because it turns out that some idiot had crushed the oil filter when they installed it. All these things just kept happening all the time, while Liz was in hospital, and I'm trying to basically spend my time with her in hospital, and I've got shit distracting me, keeping me at home, waiting for people, and stuff going wrong left, right and centre. Then, of course, in December, I had my next leak in the floor, which I managed to resolve fairly quickly. And then in February, I had the last leak in the floor, which has now taken me until just now, July, to get fixed. And now I've got water pissing through my kitchen ceiling and causing a puddle on the floor of the kitchen, on my brand new kitchen floor, making me think immediately, oh my God, I've got a new leak in the house. And it's fucking Anthony. And what happened was, I've got every right to be angry, right? Because I have had enough of putting up with this crap. And I am then getting yelled at by my mother-in-law for shouting at Anthony, because apparently Anthony is immune from being shouted at. And if only I'd known. I didn't know that. I wasn't aware that Anthony was immune from being shouted at. I wasn't immune from being shouted at when I was a kid, you know. But apparently I'm not allowed to shout at him. I've had 2 nervous breakdowns in my life, and I'm desperately trying to stave off a third. And the second one was, the direct cause of that was me being told to bottle up my emotions and keep a fucking lid on it. And I kept a lid on it, and I overflowed and I exploded. And if I don't have an outlet, which is why part of the reason I do this vlog, if I don't have an outlet to express my feelings and thoughts and emotions, I'm going to head towards a third nervous breakdown, right? And I'm entitled to be angry and to yell at my son when he's left the fucking tap on and flooded 4 rooms in my house. 4 rooms in my house. Count them. 4 rooms in my house. Flooded. It's not good enough. And then I'm getting yelled at for yelling at Anthony. The implication, once again, being that this is somehow my fault. And what was supposed to be a nice, relaxing evening for me, with a nice, tidy house, with no problems in the house anymore, turned into an evening of me tidying the fuck up, binning a whole load of damp, rotten boxes in from my upstairs bathroom because the water's soaked through, binning a whole ton of toilet roll, basically trying to empty a Hive smart light bulb of water. I've now got a stained up lighter. I've got new stains in my kitchen ceiling. I'm going to have new stains in my dining room ceiling. Basically, at this rate, I'm going to have the entire set of all of my ceilings being stained in some manner. And I'm not allowed to get angry about that. Where's the justice in that? And what did I say on this very vlog a week ago? That this was going to happen. I predicted it. And people tell me that I'm paranoid. It's not paranoia when it happens all the fucking time. And I predicted this, and that prediction is sealed in fucking rock on YouTube, dated on this channel. And you tell me I'm being paranoid when I predicted it. I said it would happen, and it happened. And at the same time, I'm struggling to deal with doctors saying that we're now in palliative care stage for my wife. And my fucking idiot son is flooding my house. A flood, of all things. It's some kind of sick joke. It's a sick joke, given the amount of water problems I've had in the house, to cause another flood in my house. So, guys, I need to know, if I'm on some kind of sick reality TV show, I need to know now, and I want to opt out immediately. Because this is beyond a joke. 4 instances of water ingress in my house. This one just to cap it off, as if to say, haha, you thought the water problems were solved. Well, they're not, motherfucker. Have some fucking more. And then I'm not allowed to get angry about it, and I'm not allowed to shout at somebody and tell them off. All I want is an apology, an acceptance of responsibility, and a reassurance that I don't have a leaky house. Because in the back of my mind, I've just left home to pick up my wife from hospital, and in the back of my mind, I am deeply, deeply concerned that my house is now filling up with water. Because I haven't had confirmation from the culprit that the cause of the problem was in fact his incompetence. If I had that, if I had an apology, and if he'd accepted responsibility, that would go some way to making me ever so slightly happier about leaving the house. What did I say to you people on this vlog a week ago about leaving the house? That I was afraid to leave the house because shit like this was going to happen. And I am now borderline agoraphobic about leaving the house, because I leave the house and I come back and it's full of water. And I can't take this anymore. And if somebody doesn't give me some slack, then I don't know what I'm going to do. I might as well just burn the house down, if I'm honest with you. So I'm sorry about the rant, but I'm beyond breaking point now. I am beyond breaking point. This is it. Hello. Right, it's 10 to 4 and I'm here with Liz. Say hello, Liz.
Hello, Liz.
Say hello to the boys and girls.
Hello, boys and girls.
Tell us about your experiences in Southampton Hospital.
Not good.
Why not?
Staff were lovely, apart from the ones who stuck me in with needles. I went for what I thought was to help my sleeping. In fact, it was not. They thought it was to remove my trachea. It's not. Then they told me it was to help my breathing. It did not. But nurses were nice.
Okay.
I have over 20 pricks up my arms where they could not get blood. However, I did tell them they would find it hard. But they intended to still continue pricking and trying. Not even the cardiologist could get blood. Although there was a lot of blood from the needle he was poking my arm.
Right, so we've just rung Holy Cross to tell them we're on the way. And what did they say about you?
Drive safely. Well, you drive safely. And they've got my meals sorted out for me.
They have. They've put you some food on, or they will be putting you some food on.
Yeah.
Which is nice and thoughtful, isn't it?
Yes.
Because I was worried about that.
I wasn't.
Anyway, we're going to be there in just under an hour. I guess that's the end of this clip. Say goodbye to the boys and girls.
Goodbye, boys and girls.
Hello. It's just gone 11 on Tuesday night, 29th of July, and I've been putting off recording this segment because I am not taking this news very well at all. Got Liz safely back to Holy Cross, no incidents. I had a oxygen cylinder. She was on 2 litres of oxygen the whole way home. And then we were met by some of the medical staff who wanted to give us a debriefing about what had happened. And Liz, explained that basically she appeared to be there under false pretenses, blah, blah, blah. I think I've explained this all in the previous video, but basically the conversation turned very quickly and unexpectedly. We ended up talking pretty much about end-of-life care, palliative care, hospice, morphine. Basically, as I've explained, Liz does not want to have her tracheostomy tube removed, first of all, because then we lose remote access to her secretions. And she doesn't want to have it upsized, because basically they're saying if she wants to try overnight mechanical ventilation to try and help her breathe better, she needs a larger trachea tube. The problem is Liz can't cope with a larger trachea tube. She loses her voice. She won't be able to speak. She'll lose the ability to speak, eat and drink, and she feels she will lose herself. So suddenly the conversation turns to quality of life versus quantity of life. Basically, if she doesn't have a larger trachea tube, her heart is going to start to struggle with lack of oxygen, because the mechanical ventilation options with the size tube she's got are so limited. And basically she's now classed as being in respiratory failure. And they've basically said they need to try and make her room at Holy Cross more of a home for Liz, because she's not going to make it home. She's not coming home. And all the work I've done and all the trauma I've been through to get the downstairs shower installed, get the upstairs bathroom fixed up, have the pipes replaced, the central heating done, the shower room replaced, installing grab bars, adding a step, adding a handrail upstairs, moving stuff around every single room, buying new furniture. Every single room in this house has been affected in some way. And it's all been for nothing, because Liz is not coming home. That's the end of our life together. And then today, Liz had a letter from the DVLA instructing her to surrender her driving licence, which got revoked 3 days ago. The reason they put was because of memory issues. They've said nothing to Liz about memory issues. They've mentioned cognitive decline. I just think this looked like a standard letter from the DVLA, and they've probably got a list of set paragraphs to choose from, and that was probably the closest one. But basically, Liz has to surrender her driving licence, and I've got it in the car. And I am really, really struggling with this tonight. When we first met, Liz, I didn't have a car. Didn't have a car living in Portsmouth. Didn't need one. It's such a relatively small city. You can walk anywhere. When we first met, Liz would either collect me from the train station if I came up here to Basingstoke, or she would drive down to see me in Portsmouth. When we drove to Spain on holiday, we would drive through France and Andorra. Liz would drive she did all the driving. Whenever I used to go to London for work, she would take me to the train. She would pick me up at the end of the day, usually with Anthony. She'd pick me up in her car. Her car went away 10 months ago because I was paying for her car and I couldn't afford it anymore, and it wasn't being used. I don't need 2 cars. Liz would buy a new car every 3 years. When I met her, she had a red Citroen Saxo. She then bought a black Citroen Saxo. She had a blue Citroen C3, a sort of purpley kind of coloured Honda Jazz, another sort of bluey Honda Jazz, a red Ford Fiesta, a light blue Ford Fiesta, and one red Ford Puma. And that was the last car she had. And she only had the benefit of using that for 6 months before she was first taken ill. And that's the car that I had to get rid of nearly a year ago. And I was incredibly upset to have to do that, because it's a nail in the coffin, right? It's gradually taking away. And now Liz has got to surrender her driving licence. So never again will she take me to the train station or pick me up from coming home from London. That's never going to happen again because she won't have a driving license. It's like a closing cycle. So first of all was the car, now there's the license, now there's the fact that we could never live at home again as a family. I have been so looking forward to the day when all four of us and the cats would be back under one roof here at home. And every time Liz has come home to visit, we've not all been here. And the last time my whole family was under one roof was on December the 15th, 2023. And Liz had a chest infection. And we've always been a bit rubbish with each other whenever we got ill. She would be rubbish with me, I would be rubbish with her. And I wasn't particularly nice to her, thinking it was just a chest infection. And then the next morning I can't wake her up. And I just feel so bad that I have not been a good husband or the best husband in the world, because I have lost the chance to be a good husband now, because we're never going to be under one roof again at home. And I'm just getting these chapters of our life closing. And Liz is only 52. I'm only 54. We've been married 24 years on the 4th of August. Liz is obviously very upset, and so am I. I was crying all the way home tonight. I was absolutely in floods of tears. I couldn't control myself because I just keep thinking of all the things I will never do with Liz again. We used to love to go shopping. I'll never do that again. She used to love to get a jacket potato. She'll never do that again from a stall, you know. I met Liz in 1999, I think. I've got it somewhere. So 26 years, 25, 26 years we've been in each, and I've lived in her pocket basically. And yes, she could be annoying. Yes, she could be a pain. Yes, she would moan at me all the time, but that's what marriage is about, right? And it's basically over because she's not coming home. And now they're talking about palliative care and quality of life versus quantity of life. And, you know, maybe she could have a bit of morphine every day to try and make things easier and help her sleep. And we need to make her room more like home because she's not coming home. I have moved heaven and earth and got upset with so many people to get this house into a state so that Liz could come home. And she's not coming home. And now her driving license has got to go back because she can't drive again. Even if it's not a memory issue, she's got no strength in her arms and legs. She can barely lift her head, not to mention she needs oxygen wherever she goes. And I am not taking this well. I am in absolute pieces tonight. I've just spent 2 hours sorting out a load of photos of Liz. And I was working today, but I've taken the rest of the week off as annual leave because I need some time and space to think and get my head straight, because this is the end of our married life, unfortunately, and I'm not handling it very well, and I'm in absolute pieces. And the only reason I'm not crying right now is because I've run out of tears tonight. And I'm here on my own in an empty house with just my cats to talk to and you guys on this vlog. So I'm going to end this episode here.